It is 9:10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's the 17th day of March, St. Patty's Day. It is St. Patty's Day, dude, where every leprechaun's mouthwash is Jameson. Hell yeah. Welcome to the Bitcoin and Podcast with me, your host, David Bennett, where I'm going to bring you news about Bitcoin from around the world. And macro too, because there's, shit popping off in Iran and we're bombing oil refineries and they're bombing oil fields. And apparently it's like there's no pretense anymore. It's clearly about oil, but we're not going to talk that much about it. It's going to be Mastercard. They're buying somebody that we know. And Buenos Aires is also in the news. We'll get to them. Stand with crypto. Woo! I stood with France. I stood with Ukraine. I'm standing with, the garbage collectors union. But now, honey, I stand with crypto. Yeah. Ramping up pressure on Senate Banking Committee. We'll get to that one. South Korea, they are really, really smarting from being embarrassed as bad as they were about their custody lapses. And, well, they're reacting in a way that, I don't know. Most of y'all will probably say, well, that makes sense. I'm sitting here going, no, it doesn't make any sense at all. I promise we'll get to it. Cango is in the news. It's a mining outfit. And I brought you news about them like last year. And now they're back in the news. Last year it was good news. This year it's not good news. Oh, good Lord. Bitdeer is also in the news. We'll talk about what they're going to do. And then there's a guy that's saying that his wife stole a bunch of money from him in crypto. I wonder if it's Bitcoin. We'll find out together. But first, let's hit the Mastercard news. Mastercard agrees to buy stablecoin platform BVNK for up to $1.8 billion. So let's just rephrase that. A credit card company that's been around for decades is buying a stablecoin platform. And BVNK has been in the news quite a bit. I've actually brought a lot of that to you here on the Bitcoin and Podcast. But this is Olivier Acuna writing for CoinDesk, and Olivier says, Mastercard agrees to buy BVNK, a stablecoin infrastructure company, for as much as $1.8 billion as it looks to strengthen its support for digital assets and on-chain money transfers. The deal expands Mastercard's end-to-end support of digital assets and value movement across currencies, rails, and regions, the company said in a statement. UK-based BVNK is a stablecoin company enabling businesses to move money in seconds across more than 130 countries. Its infrastructure, used by firms including WorldPay, Deal, and Flyware, processes billions of dollars annually and is designed to bridge traditional fiat systems with blockchain-based payments. By integrating BVNK's technology, Mastercard said it aims to connect on-chain payments with its global network, enabling use cases across such as cross-border transfers, remittances, and business-to-business payments. Quote, we expect that most financial institutions and fintechs will, in time, provide digital currency services, said Jorn Lambert, Mastercard's chief product officer, in a statement. The deal will help, quote, bring the benefits of tokenized money to the real world. Tokenized money, baby. Now, token dollar. The agreement comes several months after Coinbase ended $2 billion acquisition talks with the very same stablecoin startup. And at the time, a Coinbase spokesperson declined to provide a reason for the talks' collapse. For Mastercard, the acquisition highlights its growing push into digital assets as stablecoin adoption accelerates. Just last week, it announced the launch of its crypto partner program, which brings together more than 85 companies from across the digital asset and payments industries, an effort to link blockchain technology more directly with the infrastructure that underpins global commerce. So, stablecoin payment volumes reached at least $350 billion in 2025, according to the company, with increasing regulatory clarity prompting banks and fintechs to explore offerings tied to tokenized deposits and blockchain-based money movement. The company also said the combined capabilities will focus on interoperability between fiat and digital currencies while maintaining compliance and security standards expected by financial institutions. The transaction, which is still subject to regulatory approval, is expected to close before the end of this year. So, okay. And that last part kind of reinforces this other line that was other sentence that was up here in earlier in the article. It says, by integrating BVNK's technology, Mastercard said it aims to connect on-chain payments with its global network, enabling use cases such as cross-border transfers, remittances, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's the connecting on-chain payments to Mastercard's global network, which is freaking massive. I have spoken about this type of topology before, where one massive network, and I usually use mycelium, the fungi in the soil fungi, the mycelium that is the body of the fungus that connects trees and bushes and grasses and all kinds of neat shit together. I won't talk about it at length here. I've talked about it before. When that network, super ultra, and some of these networks get to be 400 square miles in diameter. There's one in Oregon. It's a honey mushroom, and it devastates forests. That's its job. It's literally built to kill live trees because it rejuvenates all the soil, and then the pastures can get back up, and then you get all kinds of pioneer stuff coming back up. And then the ecology just recycles itself, and it ends up in a couple of thousand years as another forest. But right now there is a single organism that is the largest eukaryotic organism on this planet by weight. By weight, not just size, by weight. And it's the honey mushroom. It's in Oregon. I can't remember exactly where, but it's 400 square miles large. Right? That is a massive single network. And in this case, think of that as Mastercard's network. And then all of a sudden, it's going to connect up to, at first, the smaller network of, well, shall we say, on-chain payments. But what that really means is that it's going to be connecting up with stablecoin. And then that gives them the momentum to be able to connect up to things, other stablecoin like Tether, like Circle, like all the rest of them, like Trump family's USD1. That's also a stablecoin. Bitcoin's in there. This is what I mean by when whole networks connect together. All you need is just a couple of on-ramps from one fungal network to another similar fungal network, and all of a sudden you've got a supermassive organism. This is going to go very, very quickly. So be prepared for all the shit that comes next. Now, let's go down south to Buenos Aires, where the Buenos Aires court orders Polymarket to be blocked in Argentina. Blocked, I tell you, blocked. We don't want our Argentinian citizens betting on United States politics. Stephen Graves is given this one from Decrypt. A court in Buenos Aires has ordered the blocking of prediction market platform Polymarket in the country of Argentina, according to reports in local media. The order, issued by Judge Susana Parada, following an investigation led by prosecutor Juan Rosas from the city's specialized gambling Prosecution Office directs telecom authorities to implement network-level access restrictions and requires the removal of the Polymarket app from Google and Apple's app stores in that country. Prosecutors argue that Polymarket functions as a concealed online betting system, aka gambling. I'm shocked. There's gambling going on here. And did not apply identity and age verification controls required under gambling oversight frameworks. Quote, this meant that anyone, including children, my God, and adolescents, could access the platform and begin betting without, oh my God, any kind of control. Oh, the humanity, fucking A, prosecutors concluded. The case was initiated after action by Buenos Aires city gambling regulators who argued that the service was operating without proper authorization, i.e. a gambling license or gaming license. The decision surfaced publicly during heightened scrutiny of prediction market trading linked to Argentina's February inflation release after contract activity accelerated shortly before the official data print, sparking speculation about access to the official index ahead of its release. So what did they just say? Well, Argentina was going to give inflation numbers. And somebody inside that office that is just about to release that data decides, I'll get a Polymarket and I'm going to make a market for this. And probably made out like bandits. Anyway, the nationwide block is the latest in a wave of regulatory pushback targeting prediction markets, with platforms including Polymarket and Kalshi facing legal or regulatory challenges in jurisdictions including France, Germany, Italy, Australia, Singapore, Portugal, Hungary, Thailand, and the Netherlands. In the U.S., prediction markets are caught up in an ongoing legal battle themselves with state gaming regulators, despite a 2024 federal ruling which established that event contracts aren't inherently gambling under federal law. The tension between state regulators and federal jurisdiction is likely to escalate, according to former interim CFTC chair Caroline Pham, who earlier this month argued that I 100% think it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Yeah, most likely, Miss Pham, I would imagine so. So here's another country that's just dead set on making sure that they get their cut. Now, I will say this. I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth on prediction markets, but I'm just leaning on the side that it's just gambling. Does it give intelligence about what a majority of people in a particular market think that market's going to do? Yeah, sure. But that does not really make it any different than a whole bunch of people betting on the number 5 horse, at the Kentucky Derby or whatever. Like you can look at the odds, as the bets come in on horse races. Let's just stay with horse races. As the bets are made, the odds change. And you can look at the rack and say, okay, horse number 5 is got 1 to 2 odds. You bet $1. If that horse wins, you get $2. But then you got the horses that nobody's really betting on. You got 1 to 20 odds. You got 1 to 50 odds. So if you bet $1 and that horse wins, you get $50. I mean, it's still gambling. So when we look at Polymarket's prediction for the Senate in the United States midterm elections, they're leaning 51% towards Democrats. It's still gambling. Sure, this might mean that Democrats are going to win the Senate. But it doesn't mean that the Republicans can't come from behind. It's still gambling. So I get where these guys are going with, well, you're going to need a gambling license or some kind of state level gaming license. But all that really means is that the state simply wants a cut of the action. Now, how that's not mafia or organized crime, I don't know, because that sounds exactly the way organized crime sounds. Hey, Johnny, it's a nice store you got here on Fifth Avenue. It'd be a shame, a real shame, if anything were to happen to it. But I'll tell you what, me and my boys, Bones McCluskey and Kneecap and McGinney over here, we'll take care of you. But, we're going to come in, we're going to want $100 every week. And if you don't give me that $100 every week, well then, Johnny, it's an awfully nice store you got there. It's just fucking organized crime. And we just let it happen. I got people, when I tell people about this shit, I got them defending governments. Like, literally get angry at me and start defending the United States government's actions. And I'm like, wow, would you defend the Gambino family? No, and they won't, but they'll defend the government. It's weird. You put a wrapper of executive branch, legislative branch, and judicial branch around bullshit people stealing your fucking money, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people will just fall in line and go, yes, sir, let me defend your ass. It's organized crime and nothing else. Maybe we should take a stand. Maybe we should stand with crypto. Stand with crypto stakeholders, ramp up pressure on Senate Banking Committee on DeFi protections and stablecoin rewards. Sarah Wynn, writing for The Block. Stand with crypto. Stakeholders from states across the country sent a letter this week to senators urging them to protect decentralized finance and preserve a provision that allows crypto exchanges to offer rewards on stablecoin. The organization's state chapter president sent the letter to members of the Senate Banking Committee as the panel wrestles with how to treat stablecoin rewards and DeFi and awaits next steps in broader crypto legislation. Quote, we remain hopeful that this Congress will still pass clear and fair rules on the road for crypto without incorporating provisions that undermine the development and adoption of cutting-edge financial technology, the chapter president said. Stand with crypto. Honest to God, an organization supported by Coinbase maintains a scorecard tracking lawmakers' positions on crypto and had significant sway during the 2024 elections. Over the past month, the group has also flexed its presence in multiple state primaries, including Illinois, where the crypto advocacy group released an Illinois voter guide using that scorecard to reflect where candidates stand on digital assets. Election day in Illinois is Tuesday. I believe that would be today. The letter comes as lawmakers in Washington work to determine how to move forward with legislation to regulate the crypto sector more broadly. The effort now sits with the Senate Banking Committee, where the industry is awaiting an anticipated hearing to amend and vote on the bill after earlier delays in rescheduling. One of the main sticking points has been how to treat stablecoin rewards. The issue surfaced during debate over the Genius Act, the stablecoin law passed July, which prohibits stablecoin issuers from paying direct interest to shareholders. The law, however, does not bar third-party platforms such as Coinbase from offering rewards. So it's just a sneaky change in the language. Banks have argued that allowing yields would drain deposits from traditional institutions and hurt community banks. Crypto firms say restricting yields would stifle innovation and say that the issue was already debated during consideration of the Genius Act. I'll have to come back to that one. The White House hosted meetings over the past several weeks in hopes of reaching a deal between the two parties, but an agreement hasn't been reached. Another sticking point has been how to treat decentralized finance. In the crypto market structure legislation passed by the House last year, lawmakers included the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act. Well, that provision clarifies that software developers who do not control users' funds are not considered money transmitters. Some Democrats in the Senate Banking Committee, namely Elizabeth Warren probably, have raised concerns over preventing illicit activity. They released a proposal late last year which drew criticism from the crypto industry, which suggests that proposed that any person, it's a bad sentence. I can't do anything with this, so I'll just read it as is. The Senate Banking Committee Democrats released a proposal late last year which drew criticism from the crypto industry, which suggests that the proposed person or entity who designs, deploys, controls, operates a front-end service for a DeFi protocol or materially benefits from a decentralized finance protocol that facilitates covered financial activities would be considered an intermediary if the proposal comes to pass. DeFi developer protections are essential, the chapter president said in the letter. Quote, omitting or watering down the BRCA sends a clear signal to the other direction that Congress has no interest in this innovation happening at home, they said. So they're playing politics with language here, but honestly, I think they're really mixing somebody who would operate a decentralized finance platform with the people that develop the technology that powers that platform. Because essentially, you need the engine first. And then other people will say, hey, I can use that. It's like it's free open source software in a lot of cases. We'll just take that, modify it maybe a little bit, but we're just going to build a platform around it. And then boom, you've got lending and loaning and all kinds of other stuff that DeFi is supposedly supposed to do. I don't trust it, but it's not going away. And this has been going on ever since the summer of, I want to say 2020 or 2021. No, it was like 2019, I think, the summer of 2019 when Sushi Swap started bouncing around. But I think they're mixing apples and oranges here in this legislation. The developer shouldn't have anything to do with the platform. If the developer of the engine that runs the platform does have something to do with the platform, then yes, that developer but is responsible for money transmission and all and is an intermediary. But only if the developer decides to, okay, my development is finished. Now I'm going to do this platform where I take people's money and I give it to other money or other people. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're technically an intermediary. So it's unclear. The language in this whole thing is unclear as to what they're talking about. Still, though, what's really happening with the stablecoin thing, they keep coming back. And at first, the language was this: if we allow stablecoin rewards, the banking industry will have a lot of people pull their deposits, take all their money out, because we can't compete with the amount of interest or rewards, because it's really the same thing, as people like Coinbase or other platforms can. And they're right. But now the language is, it'll hurt community banks. So now the flavor of the language has changed. It's not just the banking infrastructure, which would definitely be in danger. Now they're trying to pull on the heartstrings of Americans. Oh my God, my community bank? You mean where Ted works? I buy Ted coffee. That kind of shit. It's fucking propaganda, and don't buy into it. Instead, buy some ghee. Get yourself some great ghee from greatghee.com. In fact, go to the show notes, use my affiliate link, and that will show Great Ghee that I've made him a couple of sales here from the Circle P on the Bitcoin and podcasts. The Circle P is where I bring plebs just like you with goods and services to plebs who want to buy goods and services from other plebs. But you're going to be buying it at Bitcoin, because if you're not selling it at Bitcoin, you're not in the Circle P. Great Ghee is. What is ghee? It's clarified butter. I know it sounds simple, but it honestly is a completely different animal than butter. Because butter, you just get a stick of butter. It's still got a lot of water in it. It has a lot of proteins in it. It has some residual sugar in it. and it's got the animal fat, and it's the fat that we want, right? Otherwise, all this other stuff is you know, in a very real way can be problematic, especially when you're trying to store. You can't just store like, you know, a pound of butter at room temperature for like a month, but you can store ghee for longer than that because all the water's gone, which doesn't give bacteria one of the essential things of life that it needs. So you can store this, but better than that, it has a really high smoking temperature, like 450 degrees Fahrenheit before it starts to burn. Before, if you've got the sugar and the protein still in the butter, your frying temperature with butter becomes much, 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 much lower because the proteins will start to burn, the sugars will start to burn at a much lower temperature than 450. So now you have a cooking oil with an extremely high frying temperature. But the best part of all is the flavor. If you have never cooked with ghee, you got to go to Great Ghee. Use my affiliate link in the show notes. Get yourself some Great Ghee from my friend Great Ghee. I've tried it. Other people have tried it. We all freaking love it. So get yourself a bottle, pay for it in Bitcoin, support the Circle P as the Circle P tries to support small vendors, plebs, right? And support a Bitcoin circular economy. That's Great Ghee. Use the affiliate link in the show notes. South Korea police draft crypto seizure rules after custody lapses. So, okay, before we even read the article, it just sounds like they're having a conniption fit to the point that they're so fucking mad that they lost this 61,000 BTC, and then somebody actually returned, I guess, either most or all of it later on. But still, it's so embarrassing. They're so red-faced. They got their ass so soundly handed to them in a very public way that now they're going to talk about how to take Bitcoin away from people. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, that this is just the way the headline reads. Let's find out together. Cointelegraph. South Korea's National Policy Agency has reportedly drafted new guidelines for handling seized cryptocurrencies, including privacy-focused assets, as authorities move to standardize how digital asset evidence is stored and managed. Okay, this sounds better than what I thought. According to a report by local media outlet AG, or AGA, however you pronounce it, the KNPA completed a draft directive outlining compliance requirements at each stage of crypto seizure. The directive includes measures for managing software wallets needed to handle crypto assets and privacy-focused tokens. A police spokesperson told the newspaper that as investigative paradigms change, field investigators need systemic guidelines along with appropriate support. Otherwise known as protocol. You don't have any protocols. Quote, in the past, seized assets were stored in warehouses. Now we must manage wallet addresses and private keys, the spokesperson said. The move follows recent cases in which seized cryptocurrencies were lost or mishandled while in government custody, prompting closer scrutiny of asset management practices. According to the newspaper, the KNPA also plans to finalize the selection of a private custody provider within the first half of this year. In 2025, 3 separate bidding attempts to find a custody provider reportedly failed after firms that applied were deemed unsuitable. The newspaper also reported that budget constraints posed a challenge. The report said the police allocated only 83 million won, about $55,000, to handle seized crypto assets despite the risks. Based on cases with finalized court rulings, the newspaper estimated that the value of crypto seized by police in the last 5 years totals about $36.5 million US. This includes approximately 50 billion won in Bitcoin and 1.8 billion won in shitcoin number 1. The new draft guidelines for managing seized cryptocurrencies follow heightened scrutiny of custody practices after a phishing incident involved government-held Bitcoin earlier this year, because on January 23rd, officials with the Gwangju District Prosecutor's Office discovered during a routine inspection that 320 Bitcoin had gone missing from prosecutors' custody during an investigation August 2025. So there you go. They're red in the face, but it's not as bad as I thought. They're just finally figuring out that they're going to need a protocol for all this stuff. Let's run the numbers. CNBC futures and commodities. I got Brent North Sea oil up 1.7% to 101.92. West Texas Intermediate is up 1.5% to 94.95. Natural gas up 0.4 to $3.03 per thousand cubic feet, and gasoline, boy, 3 1/3 to the upside, $3.10 a gallon. And Murban crude is up 3% to $110 and 2 United States pennies. Metals are mixed. Palladium is up 1 1/4. Gold is up barely anything. It just crossed $5,000 to $5,005.08. Platinum is up 1.5%. Silver is down 1 1/3. Back under 80, you go to 79.57, and copper is down 1.12%. Ag is fully mixed this morning. Lumber, no, it's going to be sugar is up almost 2 full points. That's the winner. And our biggest loser of the day is chocolate, 1.76% to the downside. Live cattle is up 0.66%. Lean hogs up barely anything at all. Feeder cattle in the green, 1 1/3 to the upside. S&P getting some gains there, 20.25% to the upside. NASDAQ is up 0.4%. The Dow is up 0.17%, and the S&P Mini is up over a half point. Bitcoin chilling at $74,140. That is a $1.48 trillion market cap, and we can still purchase 14.8 ounces of our favorite shiny metal rock with our 1 Bitcoin, of which there are 20,002,969.91 of, and average fees per block are elevated, 0.03 BTC taken in fees on a per block basis. There are about 40 blocks carrying 50,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 4 sats per VByte. Low priorities squeaky in at 2. Oh my God, it's a mining death spiral. 912 exahashes per second. Wow, we're all going to die because we still have the most amount of protection that any digital network on the face of the planet has ever garnered in the history of digital networks. So I'm not concerned in the least. Now, from Malaise, yesterday's episode of Bitcoin, and I got Oak Grove with 3,700 sats says, here's for the last 3 shows regarding the $5 wrench attacks. I'll share General James Mattis's response to a Marine asking how to deal with the military and police that they were training, given a portion of them only wanted to train for a surgency or kill Americans. Quote, be polite, be profess, ... Man, I wish Fountain would fix this. I really don't like this. I used to be able to read the entire note no longer, or no matter how long it was, and now I can't. Oak Grove, my apologies, sir, but this is where I make sure I get all my boosts from. I don't know what they're doing over there. Nick Dose with 171 sats says, cheers, right back at you, pal. Pies with 121 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you, and that's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. Remember the company named Cango? I brought it up at the first of the show, but I brought it up last year around August. Let me refresh your memory. Cango acquires a 50 megawatt Bitcoin mining facility in the state of Georgia in the United States for $19.5 million. Remember that? If you don't, that's okay. Because what I'm getting at is that was just last August. And here we are in March. And Cango looks like they're going to die. Because Cango is selling off its Bitcoin stash to pay down its debt and fund an AI makeover all at the same time. I'm sure everything is going to be fine. James Van Straten from CoinDesk tells us how this has gone for Cango. Cango, a Bitcoin mining company that, if you remember, transitioned from an automotive services company, reported full year 2025 revenues of $688 million and a net loss of $452.8 million. During that time, it sold 4,451 Bitcoin in February of 2026 to reduce its debt and help finance its pivot to AI. The company rapidly scaled its mining operations in 2025 with $675.5 million in revenue coming from its Bitcoin and 6,594 Bitcoin produced during the year. Despite this growth, profitability deteriorated sharply due to impairment charges on mining machines, fair value losses, and high production costs, which reached roughly $97,000 per Bitcoin on an all-in basis. The Bitcoin sale marks a strategic shift. Rather than accumulating Bitcoin, Cango is now deploying it as a treasury asset. The company said the sale was used to reduce the overall finance leverage and strengthen the balance sheet, freeing up capital for new initiatives. Management is now focused on repositioning the business towards AI. CEO Paul Yu said that the firm is advancing the pivot to become an AI infrastructure provider, adding that its EcoHash platform aims to deliver flexible, cost-effective AI inference solutions. Meanwhile, CFO Michael Zhang said losses were, quote, primarily due to non-recurring transformation costs, while emphasizing efforts to secure capital for AI investments. The Bitcoin to AI pivot reflects a broader industry trend. CoinDesk research shows public miners have continued to sell Bitcoin to fund AI developments. This shift is being driven by declining mining margins and the rising demand for high-performance computing, prompting miners to repurpose infrastructure and monetize BTC holdings to access the faster-growing AI market. Cango shares trade at around 68 United States pennies, which is down 43% over the past 3 months. I don't think they're going to survive. This is a horribly run company. Why do I say that? They get into Bitcoin mining, one of the most cutthroat things that you could possibly do. After transitioning from an automotive services company, at a time when Bitcoin price is screaming, just look back at the charts around August of 2025. Right? That's when that last article that I read you last year came out. And then they're getting their ass handed to them by all the other miners. It's costing them $97,000 to produce a Bitcoin because that's their all-in cost. All their miners, their infrastructure, their energy contracts, all their overhead, all that shit, $97,000 a Bitcoin. And that was working for them a little while, but then in October, whoo. So now what do they do? Oh, we're going to pivot. We were an automotive services company, and now we're a Bitcoin mining company, and that's not working for us either. So we're going to do AI. Well, I got news for you, pal. I don't think AI is going to stay at the GPU level forever. So here's what's going to happen. Somebody somewhere is going to figure out a way to do like an ASIC style chip, right? It's not going to be an ASIC. It has to be something different because AI kind of demands it. But I don't think that artificial intelligence stays locked on GPUs forever. I think somebody somewhere is already trying to figure this shit out. And one of these days, probably a lot sooner than we think, we're going to have an AI chip, sort of like an ASIC Bitcoin mining chip, where it only does one thing. Yeah, it's going to be something along those lines. So here we're going to have Cango, who's failed at an automotive services company, failed at being a Bitcoin miner, now jumping ship and going to AI. This is terrible. This is pick a plan, stick to the plan, execute the plan, and then profit from the plan and then reassess. But they have had zero time to be able to digest anything that they're doing. I mean, middle of last year, we'll say they made the decision at the 1st of 2025. And by the time August came in, they were up and running and they had done their first pivot, and now they're pivoting again. It's not even been a year. I feel really bad for all the people over at Cango, because that place is not going to survive this horrendous indecision by their executive members. But then we have Bitdeer, another Bitcoin mining company. Bitdeer says their BTC production is up 541%, with a growing focus on artificial intelligence. Bitdeer Technologies has announced a 541% year-over-year increase in Bitcoin production. The Singapore-based company mined 705 Bitcoin in February, while also reporting a 225% revenue increase compared to the previous quarter. Following the announcement, Bitdeer shares rose 8% in early trading, reaching $8.13. The company is pursuing a strategy that combines mining with the emerging artificial intelligence business. To finance that expansion, it completed a $375 million senior convertible note offering, specifically aimed at developing its artificial intelligence and high-performance compute infrastructure. Bitdeer's GPU cloud division has already generated $21 million in annual recurring revenue as of February the 28th. Company executives announced plans to increase hourly rates for H100 GPU rentals in March, capitalizing on strong customer demand. Currently, Bitdeer has deployed 2,096 GPUs with a 64% utilization rate and expects to reach full capacity by the end of March. On the mining side, the figures confirm Bitdeer's dominant position in the global landscape. Its self-mining hash rate reached 68 exahashes per second during the period, while total managed hash rate stands at 79.1 exahashes per second, distributed across 314,000 machines. That's a lot of fans running. Total global power capacity amounts to 3,013.5 megawatts spread across operational sites and projects in the pipeline. To free up physical space for conversion into the AI HPC data center business, Bitdeer has begun decommissioning Bitcoin miners at its facilities in Tydal, Norway, and Wenatchee, Washington. On the financial side, Tether recently acquired $42 million in Bitdeer shares, increasing its stake to 20.1%. Company executives expect to finalize co-location agreements for sites in Norway and Ohio in the near term, further strengthening the company's international presence. So the way Bitdeer runs it is like, no, we're not getting out of mining. Yes, did I just tell you that they decommissioned some mining machines? Yes, they did. But they're not getting out of Bitcoin mining. They're just, we'll do both. We'll do both. But that's in sharp contrast to the way Cango, or whatever this company is doing their shit, where they cannot make a decision and stick with it. In Bitdeer's case, they're just simply adding HPC and AI to their mix. And they're crushing it on Bitcoin production. They're probably going to crush it in AI and HPC. And what's really neat about Bitcoin mining being co-located with AI is that the whole, it doesn't necessarily, it actually doesn't make any difference that if AI starts using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange for AI agents, it doesn't have anything really to do with the co-location of Bitcoin mining with AI, but it does send a fairly clear signal that Bitcoin goes hand in hand with AI. That's a narrative, right? These co-locations infrastructures become narratives, like a physical narrative, Bitcoin and AI, Bitcoin and high performance compute. You can't buy that kind of press. But I'll bet this dude wishes that his name wasn't in the press at all. Man alleges his wife stole $172 million in Bitcoin after covertly recording him. Decrypt's Logan Hitchcock brings us this sad tale of woe. A wife of a UK resident is alleged to have stolen around $172 million in Bitcoin from her husband, according to court documents filed in the UK's High Court of Justice last week. The individual, Ping Fai Yun, had more than 2,323 Bitcoin securely stored on his Trezor hardware wallet in 2023, but on August 2nd of that year, unbeknownst to Ping, 2,323 Bitcoin was transferred from that wallet, and after multiple transactions was dispersed across 71 different Bitcoin addresses. No transactions have taken place since December 21st, 2023. Warned by his own daughter that in July that his now estranged wife, Fun Young Lee, was trying to take his Bitcoin, Ping installed audio equipment at his residence. That led to recordings which allegedly implicate Fun, who potentially, with the help of her sister, a second named defendant, Lai Yung Lee, secretly recorded him and stole his seed phrase. Quote, a recording of July 29, 2023 has been described on behalf of Ping Fai Yun as capturing Fun Young Lee discussing closed-circuit television, which had been set up in the house, where the claimant sat and hid the password using the wallet, the court documents say. The filing further alleges that the wife was covertly recording him in an effort to gain access to his Bitcoin holding. Excerpts from the audio recording contain phrases like, the Bitcoin has transferred to me, and, quote, take all of it, according to the filing. Upon discovering his Bitcoin had moved, Ping confronted his wife. No. That's not the first thing that he did. He had a fucking heart attack is the first thing that fucking happened. But let's just go with this. Upon discovering his Bitcoin had moved, Ping confronted his wife and assaulted her, leading to his arrest and later guilty plea on counts of assault, occasioning actual bodily harm, and 2 offenses of common assault. That means that he not only laid hands on her, she came away with bruises or worse. Anyway, he also reported the theft of his Bitcoin to the police, which led to the arrest of Fun in 2023. Police found and seized 10 crypto cold wallets, at least 3 with names attributable to Ping, but ultimately released Fun after she provided a no-comment interview and then made bail. Quote, the police have since confirmed that they would take no further action pending new evidence, the court doc says. Oh, wow. In November of 2025, Ping applied for a proprietary asset preservation injunction, seeking a declaration of ownership of the Bitcoin, a freezing of Fun's crypto assets, and a return of the Bitcoin or an equivalent amount of Great British Pound, the United Kingdom's fiat currency. In a judgment following a March 2nd hearing, Justice Cotter said he thinks Ping has a high chance of succeeding in the claim. Quote, in my judgment, the claimant has demonstrated a very high probability of success. The evidence is that he was warned of what the first defendant was seeking to do. The transcripts are damning, and when the first defendant's property was searched, the necessary equipment to exfiltrate the Bitcoin was indeed found. 24 years as a first instance judge have repeatedly highlighted the wisdom of applying Occam's razor, he added, noting the principle which suggests that the simplest explanation is likely the best. Cotter also noted that Fun has had an opportunity to share her record of the events, but has opted not to do so. In his final remarks, the judge noted that given Bitcoin's volatility, an early trial is necessary. Yikes. So it sounds like this is going to go down. So what'd she do? She installed fucking cameras at his desk so she could see his seed phrase. I mean, it's not, I was about to say it's kind of brilliant. It's not really, it's really easy. See, and this is one of the issues that we've got to watch out for. I mean, and the whole, it's really, was she living there? I mean, you know, like, I don't know, man. It's like, it's kind of fuzzy as to exactly how a lot of this stuff went down, but it seems clear that she had somehow installed a camera to get a view of him working a crypto wallet and somehow or another snagging a seed phrase. Or maybe just the pin, like he was using a Trezor, so maybe she just recorded him like entering in his pin, and that's all it kind of takes, right? So you don't really need the seed phrase if you have the pin number of a hardware device, like a cold card, which is what I use, right? What I like about cold card is that there's 2 pins, but in a case of a Trezor or the case of a Ledger, which was my first hardware wallet, you only had 1 pin. Right, it's pretty. Honestly, it was actually kind of hard. It would be kind of hard to get that off of a closed circuit television camera. So, in my mind, the smaller screens may actually be more secure because we keep going. Oh, we want bigger screens. We want bigger screens. We want clearer glass. We want all this. Maybe that's not the way to go, because cameras are getting really small, like really, 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 really small. And drones are also getting small, like at one point or another. And honestly, it was not going to surprise me if they're not already out, then drones the size of a fly with a high definition camera on board is going to be damn near unnoticeable, and it can move. This is a problem. It's a real problem. And if that kind of technology hits retail, and it probably will, then not only are we going to have problems with our Bitcoin, we got all kinds of other problems. And this is something that's been bugging me for a long time, because that's coming. Drones the size of a fly that can easily be maneuvered unnoticed into your house right next to your head while you walk in the door, and then go find and sit on a wall somewhere. And then after everybody's asleep, it flies somewhere else. And then can position itself in a place that can collect the kind of information you don't want anybody to collect. Sex tapes would be one of them. Cryptocurrency seed phrases, another one. Hard wallet PIN numbers. Your whole computer's password. I mean, this is getting kind of scary, which is why I still think you should buy a cave from Dave's Caves, and I'll throw in the Hermitage for free so that you don't have to worry about any of this shit anymore. Is all of this crap really worth the brand new car? I got a new title at the office. I'm now executive vice sub president of trash picking upping. I mean, is that wealth? I mean, the kind of technology that's coming out is literally boiling away, burning away the chaff of what we think is wealth. And I guarantee you, when all the chaff is burned away, it's not going to be cars, it's not going to be fancy houses, it's not going to be expensive clothes, it's not going to be like 5-star dinners. It's not going to be any of that shit. It's going to be your family and you, your health, your family's health, your love for each other, and what you can produce together as a family, whether you're together or separate. That's where being able to see beauty in a walk down the street is going to be of wealth. I know it sounds dumb. I'm not saying everybody go out and sell all your shit and go, I don't know, wear a fig leaf and run around the woods like an idiot. I'm saying that the technology that is coming is going to completely re-landscape what our views of wealth actually is. Because something like a camera, a 4K HD camera on something the size of a fly that can be remotely controlled by AI so that it doesn't even need an operator. I don't have AI like fly 400 of these things around. And you know where I would go? I'd go to the Bitcoin conference. I would flood that place with these little flies, these little tiny drones that are coming. It's not fantasy. It's not science fiction. It's a matter of time. And could you imagine 400 high definition cameras with microphones hanging around the Bitcoin conference? Because that'll happen. And when I say stop wearing swag, like only carry enough Bitcoin on you to buy a beer or coffee or whatever it is. Use the Lightning Network. Only take what you can afford to lose. That kind of shit. Don't be flashing your hardware wallet and entering in your PIN number in the lobby of the hotel or the conference center where the Bitcoin conference is going on in 10 years from now, because it's probably not going to be a good thing to have happen. I'm telling you, man, the way technology is going to retool, re-landscape, and reshape all of our views of what wealth really is. What can be taken away from us versus what can't. Just keep that in mind. I'll see you on the other side.
This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.